Hi, I'm John Leasure from the Florence Regional Arts Alliance at 120 Maple Street in beautiful downtown Florence. Today we're going to go step by step in painting a really nice painting for you today. It's called To Rise Above. We've all had those moments where our disappointments and, as they say, uncertainties, but today we're going to rise above. So what you'll need to paint along with me today are a few items that should be included in your kit today. So a couple of them were these curious items of these little plastic chips, some tin foil, and I'll show you how to use that when we get to the end. And then we have a couple of brushes, which would be the larger brush, the 1.5 inches, to do some bigger areas of the canvas. We'll have our straight brush and our fan brush for both of those to work with the sky, water, and the bird that we're going to have in this painting. Okay, so be sure to have a little water and a couple paper towels handy so that you can keep clean as you go, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so I have 4 colors in a paper plate today to start the sky and water with. And those colors are white, the lighter blue, which is the cerulean blue, the darker blue, which is the ultramarine blue, and a little touch of red. Okay, so taking that large brush, I'm going to start to create a little atmosphere in the sky and water. So here's what we'll do. We'll take that brush, and I'll go right into some white and grab a little bit of one of that lighter blue and start to push that around into the sky area like that. Brush strokes are just fine. That's what we need to make movements and the feeling of atmosphere. So I'll take some more. I'll take some white and some of that other blue, that darker blue, and begin to push that around into the sky. Let it join right in with the other blue. So just having fun. It's almost like painting a wall. There's nothing there to fear. Just brush it back and forth. Fill up the sky with that beautiful color. Okay, and I'm going to continue to do the same thing just with the white and the 2 blues. I'm going to begin to spread that paint throughout the entire canvas. So I'll have some places that are a little lighter and some places that are a little darker. In other words, down below, maybe the lower section, I might have it a little darker because this is where we'll have some of our water down here. Okay, so just kind of continue on there with some of that color. Spread it around. Just kind of fill in all the little holes in the voids. There we go. And then I have a touch of red there in case you want to warm up the sky a little. So I would just take the corner of the brush and just gently touch into a little red. And maybe I can move that around and make it feel a little bit warmer in a couple spots. Like that. Okay, and we'll just stop right there and we'll allow that to dry, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the next step, and I know you're going to like that. All right, welcome back. So now our canvas has had a chance to dry. It's fully dried and is cured for like at least about a half an hour to an hour. And so one of the other things that we're going to need to complete this part of the painting is maybe a couple pieces of masking tape. And so up here, I'm going to have the sunlight coming down from above. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to put a small piece of tape right across there. And then right across below that, I'd like to put in another piece of tape. And so I can have this nice clear channel coming down where I can have a beam of light coming down from above. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go back to our larger brush, which is now dry and clean. We've cleaned all the paint out of that. And now I'm going to go into a little white paint. And then I'm just very dry. I'm going to dry it off on the edge of the paper plate so I don't have much paint on it at all. I want to keep it kind of dry. And up here where the sun is going to be, I'm going to start right there and begin to pull downward. Begin to pull downward. This beam of light coming from above of the sky there. And that'll give us a nice little heavenly glow for the bird that's going to be sitting there. So see, just like that, with a very, very dry brush, it only has a little bit of white on it. I'm just going to go back and forth between that paint of those pieces of tape to create with the paint a nice beam of light. Okay, and if I want it to be a little brighter up in here, I can add a little more paint to that. And just like that, we've created a nice beam of light. So let me show you. I'll pull that tape off of there. And so we have these nice distinctive edges that we have this little beam of light coming down from above. Okay, so we'll do one more thing to finish up that part of the sky. So with the paper plate that we had all the blues and the reds and everything in there, I'm going to surround some of that with a few dark clouds. So I'm going to take that brush, little blue, little the darker blue, maybe a little white, maybe even a little touch of the red. I'm going to come up and maybe create maybe a little more white and create the feelings of some clouds here where the light can shine through. So it gives a little more of a connection between the clouds and the sky itself. Nothing major, just a few movements to give us a nice feeling of the sky, the sunlight coming down through these darker clouds. Okay, just about like that. And then one more thing in order to finish off those clouds. Every cloud's got to have a silver lining, so we'll take a little more of the white on a smaller brush like this. So a little white on one of the smaller brushes. And right around in here, we'll put a little silver lining, so to speak, on this cloud. And kind of rub it in with your finger there a little bit, just on the edge. And that would look really nice. And maybe up in here, we can show a little more of the light and a little more movements up in here. Okay, so you work on that and I'll come back in a few minutes and we'll go on to some water. Okay, so welcome back. So now we have this part of the sky done, and while we had a little break, I refreshed my paper plate with a few colors so that we could go on to putting the foundations of the water in. So here's what I have. I have white, some more of that dark blue, the ultramarine, and some of the lighter blue, the cerulean blue, and then a small touch of yellow. So what I'd like to do is I take my larger brush now and be dry and clean, and I'll take some of the darker blue, and down below in this corner I'm going to put on some of that dark blue. So I'm going to kind of go from that high point to a lower point there. So I'm going to continue to put on that dark paint down below. And then I'm going to transition right into this lighter blue as I work my way upward. So there we go. We have the darker blue and then a little bit of the lighter blue. And I could even use a little touch of white in that to lighten that up just a little. Okay. About like that. Now, one of the other basic tools you can use, a lot of times, is just your finger. So what I'm going to do is take some of this nice yellow with a little white. So a little of the yellow and a little of the white. And right up in here where this beam of light begins to touch that paint, I'm going to start to put in some of that nice yellow and white and let it mix with that blue. And just kind of go across there like this. And let that lighten up just a little bit right there like that. That'll make a very, very nice eye of the wave. See, so we have 3 colors that we're working here. We started out with a little bit of the dark blue at the bottom and went up at an angle. And then we went off with the lighter blue right on top of that at an angle. And then I just took a little bit of this yellow and white and worked it right into that blue at the top to make this nice, bright little sunny spot on top of the wave, just like that. So I'll let you complete that part and I'll come back and we'll keep going. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. So now for another step on the water, we'll take a clean, straight brush like this one here. Okay, so it's dry and clean, and we're going to go right into some white. And at the very top of this water that we did these colors, I will just make a line going up like that. Just nothing but pure white going right up to the top of that blue that we finished up there. Okay, just really simple, really simple. And then one more step. We'll take that same brush and a little more white, and right here at this curling part, we'll make a nice line coming over. There we go, just kind of like that. All right, so go on to the next step and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so after we have completed that step, we'd like to show the water coming over right on this one area over here. So what I'll do, I'm using the same brushes and the same paints. So I have that smaller brush and I have the 2 blues, and I can come right up in this area and continue to show water spilling over. Just a few simple brush strokes. And it's nice when you're painting like this because all your colors begin to mix and they work together and becomes that, what we would say, that wet on wet technique where everything just kind of works together naturally. So you can see right here, all I'm doing is just brushing a few streaks that curl over right in there. Okay. And then after that is complete, I would just take that brush and put it into the water to let that soak, and we'll come back and clean it later. But down below here now, down below, there's all these little things that are floating into the water. So we can have like the foam and all that. So I can take my fingers right into some of the blue and the white, and right down in here, I can show these nice things such as little seaweed and the foam and the water that's laying down there, and it's being sucked right up into that wave. And it's so much fun just to take your fingers and paint. Probably the best tools that you have. I always like to paint a lot with my fingers because it comes from the heart right to the hand, right to your picture. And I think it shows in your artwork. So there we go. Just all these nice little things happening there. So I'll stop right there for a few minutes and let that dry because we're going to add some other colors and we're going to want that to be dried. So, okay, so you can see all we did was a little bit of color coming over the top and a little bit of color, white and blue and maybe a little yellow coming up from down below. All right, I'll be back in just a little while. Okay, welcome back again. So moving on, now we're going to get into using our tin foil. And so if you've seen one of our other videos, we use the tin foil. We're going to do a little of the same with this. So we're going to take this tin foil and I'm going to roll it up into a loose ball like that, just a light loose ball. And I'm going to pinch one end of it so I have something to hold on to, about like that. And now I have all these little irregular shapes that can make all kinds of patterns that you couldn't even really make with a brush, but with a piece of tinfoil you sure can. So now I'm going to take a clean paper plate with some white paint, and I'm going to just touch that tinfoil ball right into that white paint. And of course, right here we have this water which is coming up onto the shore, and it's splashing. So we can continue to show all this explosion of that water hitting on the shore here. Now we'll actually make a rock here in just a few minutes. But right now we can get started on using this as kind of a precursor to that rock. So we've got a little bit going there, a little splash. Okay. And so I'm going to stop right at that point on that splash and put that down, because I'm going to come back to that. But I'd like to go back to one of my straight brushes. So with this little straight brush, I'd like to take that with some black. And maybe up here, we're actually hitting upon a rock. And we can put this rock in, just some kind of indication, and it may mix with some of your paints, and that's perfectly okay. And you could actually have a little of that blue kind of showing through, but it just gives us an idea that there is something here that the water is actually hitting on, because we'll cut it off at the bottom with more paints coming upward. So it doesn't have to be perfect. There's nothing about painting that has to be perfect. It really just has to be an indication of certain objects and colors. And your mind tells you all the rest. There you go. So we'll put that in there for a minute, and then we'll come back and we'll add to that some more of that splash. So now that we have that rock in, we can actually move back to our ball of tinfoil. So same with that white paint. I'll just tap into that white paint with that nice ball of tinfoil, and I'll come up and begin to add a few more things happening here. And even right over the rock a little splash. There we go. So it just keeps it loose, keeps it all free, looks natural, no extra work required, and you can really bring that up high if you'd like to. There you go. And with that, see, now I can take that white and I could come up here at the bottom of some of this rock, and I can pull on that and pull it back. I can cut off the base of that rock right across the bottom and pull that up into the wave itself. Now also, if we have a little bit of this red that we started out with, we can actually make almost a little pink from that with a little red and white, and that would look nice in the water. Nice little warm color. Red and green, these Christmas colors, they're very nice. They go well together. So we don't have to be just into realistic ideas and color, but just having fun as something artistic. There. Okay. And then using our fingers again, I can reiterate this nice top of this wave, some of the edges. Just having fun using your fingers, being creative. There we go. Okay, so you work on that, and when you come back, we're going to get right into this bird. Okay, so we're back now, and now we're going to be able to get into making our bird using these little curious chips of plastic. And if you've seen some of the other videos I've done, we use these for other straight edges and things in our painting. But today we're going to be able to use them to make our bird. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this paper plate with the white paint and this chip, and just press into it as if I was trying to chop that paint, just straight in. And then up here on the canvas, I want to make a beautiful bird flying down from above. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come on up and I'm going to make a very loose letter, like the letter Y. So see, there I go. I have that in. And then if I follow along with this edge and just hold part of it down, I can make the other lower part of that letter Y. Okay, so kind of starting over with a fresh piece of plastic, we can go right into a little black on using that smaller edge, the shorter edge of the plastic. And I can tap right into that black, just kind of a chop motion. And I could come up to the very edges of the tips of the wings of that bird and put in a little black. Ooh, that would look really nice. Kind of tap into that black again and maybe just darken the bottom here, the tail, just a little. So one final thing that I would do to finish this bird would be to take a clean, straight brush and just touch it into some white. And right here, I could show where his head is, right about where the two lines meet. About like that. And that would create a nice feeling of his head as he's flying over and he's looking down. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed doing this picture today with me, and I'm John Leasure from the Florence Regional Arts Alliance. And remember to keep painting and rise above.